Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am your Destiny Dad, and welcome to our weekly Xur review video. Let's go and see what good old Mr. Tentacleface has brought us this week. This week we do have, I'm skipping ahead here, you'll have to forgive me, we do have the class items on lock for this week's what do you even call this slot? It's ciphers and class items and something else. It probably is a name for this slot, but whatever. Our fourth exotic slot, we'll call it that. As always, the stoicism will be there if you are on Titan, relativism if you are on Hunter, and solipsism if you are on Warlock. They will show up based on your class that you are rocking when you visit Xur. We have the genealogy quest as always. For our first catalyst, we have the Huckleberry Catalyst, which is a fantastic weapon and a fantastic catalyst. If you don't have Huckleberry or if you don't have the catalyst, please pick it up. It is fantastic, especially on Peacekeeper Titans, but just in general. While we are in this current meta of rockets and fusion rifles being super strong, anytime that you can kind of stray away from an exotic being your big damage powerhouse and you can use an exotic for ad clear, I have found myself a lot this season using Graviton Lance in Grandmasters on my Titan. If you can find yourself straying away from that and swapping over to an ad clear exotic, please give Huckleberry a try whenever you give a chance. It's real solid. Up next we have the Lord of Wolves Catalyst. I know it's still getting a ton of hype and a lot of people are still using it in Ride of the Nine. I gotta be honest, in my experience, anytime I've had a team press super hard to use Lord of Wolves, it's been a real struggle. And when we have swapped off and used other options like swords or linears or rockets or fusions, 1K, all sorts of different stuff, it seems to go better for me. So in my personal experience, it's a fun gun, but since the nerf, it's not as strong. Other people will tell you different. So I suppose to each their own, dealer's choice. If you have the gun, if you love the gun, if you still swear by it, grab this. Or if you just want to pick it up for collections, you might as well. For our exotics this week, we do have Aeon Swift for the Hunter, 68 total base stats. We have a spike of 21 mobility, 20 intellect, 20 strength. And then we have 12 resilience and 10 intellect. That is actually a really solid build for a Hunter in-game PvE melee kind of build. I would definitely use this. A big favorite of mine in Grandmasters a lot of seasons is Stasis Hunter, the Shurikens and the Shatter, and I usually will run it with Aeon Swift, and a lot of times I will pair all of that with Two-Tailed Fox, and you get so much champion coverage that your rest of your loadout from just running a certain subclass and a heavy weapon, the entire rest of your loadout can be completely whatever you want it to be, whatever feels best, whatever is strongest. You don't have to care about stun mods, and the Aeon Swifts are very helpful to your team and very strong, and I definitely recommend picking them up if you do not have them. Up next we have Syntheseps, another exotic arms, this time for Titans. Based out of 67, we do have a 20 mobility spike, which is kind of a yikes. And we do have a 7 strength stat. Not fantastic. We do have 11 resilience, 14 discipline, and 12 intellect, all of which are pretty nice stats to have small bumps in. But that 20 in mobility does kind of hurt. Overall, Syntheseps are incredibly strong, as well as mobility, if I remember correctly, is getting converted to the weapon stat in Edge of Fate. Was it weapon or was it health? One or the other is getting converted into a very strong stat, so maybe you do want to pick this up. You just still don't have crazy strength, and maybe there would be better ways to farm exotics in the future. I don't know, but if you don't have a good pair of Syntheseps, this one will not do you wrong. It's just got some wonky spikes for maybe what you want it to be. Next for Warlock, we have the Apotheosis Veil, very good exotic helmet. We got a base total of 65. We have 15 mobility, 17 recov, 15 intellect, and 13 strength. Man, all of these exotics have like in terms of numbers wise, have very nice spikes where you have like 3 to 4 mid-high kind of spikes that are all real solid. The problem is there's just a lot of mobility in those spikes on the Titan and Warlock one, sadly. That being said, the Warlock exotic is a very strong exotic, definitely hot right now. I think it's used a little more on the class items, but a lot of the builds that have it on class items can for sure have that be slotted out for the actual base exotic itself. If you are like me and you don't mess with inventories, remember to pick up your materials and reset your ranks so you are always getting fresh materials and not wasting your XP. For our strange offers this week, we have our usual batch of materials, and for our big one, we have Vanguard engrams. I pick these up sometimes. I don't think I'm going to pick them up this time. I might try and get in some Grandmaster farming, but you do you. For our strange gear offers, we have Hawkmoon with Quick Draw. Not a terrible roll. This is far from the best roll, but this is actually a decent roll. If you don't have a better Hawkmoon, this is pretty bang up, I would say. Next we have Service Regime. This is currently going on a tear in PvP with a lot of the updates. Definitely worth a grab if you do not have it. The Catalyst does help it quite a bit, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Catalyst is what gives you the chance to heal on a kill, but overall this thing is still incredibly lethal regardless of the Catalyst. After that, we have the Skyburner's Oath, kind of a forgotten exotic, but a fun one to use in my opinion. It's very underlooked, and I don't think it's going to see any play in endgame anytime soon. Maybe we got a big solar season coming up, and I think there are some scout rifle, anti-barrier scout rifle, I think. I usually get super into Polaris Lance when that comes around, but I also get bored of meta very fast. So maybe this season we'll break out the old Skyburner, see how she does. If you don't have it, give it a shot. It's a very fun exotic to use. Last but not least, we have the Thunderlord. This thing is always kicking around somewhere in raid groups, in endgame PvE content. No matter how good or bad LMGs get, someone somewhere is always going to say Thunderlord only for this boss. So if you don't have it, give it a shot. It's pretty good, strong against overloads, and good at added clear, and good at damage if you have the right setup. For our legendary weapons this week, we do have the Whispering Slab with Rangefinder and Swashbuckler. It does have Elastic String, which is solid, and also has Helical Fletching and a Draw Time Masterwork. Overall, this thing is solid. It just has Rangefinder, and it is the old version without an origin trait. So it makes this a rough pick in my opinion. If you do not have a better kinetic bow, this thing has the like mathematical correct draw time on here, and that will be very good. It also has a damage bump perk, which will help you in endgame content. That being said, I don't think bows are super strong at the moment, and the fact that it has rangefinder kind of makes this a deal breaker for me personally, but I will leave that up to you. Next, we have the Kept Confidence. This hand cannon was a monster for a little while. I still see some people kicking around with it, but not too terribly many. Overall, this is a decent roll. Invisible Hand is kind of mid. It does provide you a stat bump, but it requires you to miss shots in order to get it, so it's kind of a silly one. But for a PvP hand cannon, this roll is not the worst, and if you just need a top slot PvP hand cannon, this one will do you some good. I believe actually the stat line, if I'm doing my math right, you'll have 56, 56, 56 for range stability and handling, which is a very nice thing to look at. That being said, this is a craftable weapon, so if you do not have it craftable, pick up a few copies, use some of your resonance on it, and get yourself a better crafted roll. Up next, we have the Vision. I believe first, I think this was a first, no, this was the second burst sidearm that we ever had in Destiny. We got Pulse Monitor and Kill Clip. Maybe there's a play for this in PvP on hunters with the exotic arms that bump your sidearm damage. I could see somebody running this with like Forerunner, maybe cover your close and mid range, And then whenever you take damage, Pulse Monitor activates and your arms activate. For some reason, I'm blanking on the name of those. You'll have to forgive me for the moment. I apologize about that. But outside of that, I think this is just a quirky roll. Overall, has good range, good handling, and kill clip. So it's going to melt in PvP. It just doesn't have a very great trait in the left column. But I will leave that up to your own discretion. Next up, we do have the Persuader. It is a rapid fire sniper rifle. Sadly, this thing just never was really great. Even when it was here in year one, it wasn't really used all that much, I don't believe. Its refresh wanted to be good, and there were a lot of options on it that made it look interesting or look cool, but it didn't seem to really stick. Even myself, I farmed for it quite a bit and just never really got anything crazy on it. The best things in left column are Rapid Hit, Discord, and Keep Away, I guess. And then in right column, you have Destab, so maybe you could go like a Discord destabilizing or something like that. But Triple Tap and Precision Instrument are in the same column, which means this thing is not a DPS powerhouse like it could have been. And that just makes it kind of a sad sniper rifle. That being said, Keep Away and Precision Instrument aren't terrible. You do have extended mag, you do have poly rounds and a reload masterwork. If you want to slot this into a void damage rotation, who am I to stop you? But it will be a pass for me. Up next, we have, oh boy, we have, ladies and gentlemen, we have a god roll. Perfect in time for Rite of the Nine to farm the Prophecy first encounter boss. If you are using anything other than Falling Guillotine or Legend of Acreus, you are doing it wrong. Please, everybody trying to use Lord of Wolves to farm the first encounter of Prophecy on hard mode, please, please, please get this sword, put down your Lord of Wolves, infuse it. Oh my god, this is such a good roll and it will be insane for damage. I don't believe that you can enhance it, which is its one downfall. And that is the only thing, but you're still getting just a passive 35% increase in damage. You're getting the maximum amount of damage out of every single attack because you have Swordmaster and Jagged Edge, and you're also getting free ammo out of thin air because you have Relentless Strikes. Take the boss's immune shield off, hold your right bumper, hold your left click, don't let go, don't do anything else, just stare at the boss and hold the button to swing your light attack, and you will deal nearly 1.5 million damage. Sometimes if you have like a perfect damage phase, you can get up to 2 million. Please get this sword if you are doing Prophecy and you do not have it. Even if you're not doing Prophecy, I cannot stress this enough. This is the perfect roll of this sword. Please get it. Anyway, moving on to the next sword. It's not a sword, it's a machine gun, and it is Plank's Stride. This one has Grave Robber and Thresh, an interesting combo, but I don't think anything crazy. I believe this one has some better arc synergy. Or is this the one that kind of sucked because it had no arc synergy? This was the one that had no arc synergy, right? So for this left column, we have Perpetual, Compulsive, we got Killing Wind, Slick Draw, Heating Up, Mulligan, and Grave Robber. And in the right column, we have Eye the Storm, Tap the Trigger, Thresh, One for All, Harmony, Pugilist, and Swashbuckler. I would say this thing really only has a place in PvP with its perks. Its added clearing capabilities kind of begin and end with One for All and Harmony. And even those aren't really fantastic. They got pretty tight timer windows and they're kind of hard to keep up. One for All is pretty decent. Out of the whole bunch, One for All is good, I will say that. But overall, just not really crazy. The origin trait just gives you stickier shots. And the perks in general, Perpetual Motion and Tap the Trigger, Perpetual Motion, Eye of the Storm, Killing Wind, Slick Draw, even Mulligan with any of those is going to go very, very hard in PvP. The origin trait works better in PvP, so on and so forth. That being said, this specific role is really... Grave Robber works with right hook a lot. Thresh is not terrible and kind of is a decent perk that's overlooked. For an ad clearing machine, you really do want this to be having some sort of damage increasing perk, or having some sort of ammo refund or ammo overflowing perk. This has neither of those. If maybe you're doing like a super hardcore arc build, like maybe you're doing a Cloud Strike build on a Hunter and you've got Foe Tracer or Star Eater scales and you're doing the Gathering Storm and just top to bottom your entire loadout is just mono arc, I could see putting this in there because you got 3 arc surges and this is just going to be cooking the whole time and this is going to give you super up to. I could see like a world where you build around this, but even if you are going to do that, this is a craftable weapon and you will be able to craft a even better fine-tuned roll than this if you want to use this as a quirky loadout specific gun. That being said, I will pass on this one. If you don't have it craftable, you can buy a few copies and use your resonance to craft it. Last but not least, we do have the Crown Splitter this week. Very strong Titan sword, no longer exclusive to Titans. We do have Relentless Strikes and we do have Counter Attack. Counter Attack did get a buff. It's still not crazy, I don't think, and I don't think it's going to be better than Flash Counter is, but Relentless Strikes is fantastic. And we do also have Jagged Edge. We don't have a better roll of this sword. Relentless and Jagged is basically 9/10 of the way to being the god roll. Really only just want Surrounded here. Can this thing, I feel like this one can't get Flash Counter if I'm remembering correctly. It can, but it can only get it in left column. So in right column, you really want Surrounded, or maybe you want Whirlwind Blade. It does have Vorpal and it does have Counter Attack. Neither of those are super fantastic in my opinion. To each their own, I suppose, but that is an okay pick. I'd say it's maybe a 3 out of 5. Maybe 3.5 on a good day. For our Titan armor, we've got a base 63 set of arms with 18 mobility. We've got a chest piece. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Very evenly stat distributed. We've got a base 66 chest piece. We've got 12 mobility, 10 resilience, 10 recov, 2 discipline, and then 16 intellect and 16 strength. I'm the kind of person, if I'm building a PvE endgame Titan, or even PvP a lot of the times, I will try and get 100 resilience, 100 recov, and then 100 in whatever ability I'm going for. So if I'm doing grenade build, resilience, recov, discipline. If I'm doing a super build, resilience, recov, intellect. For Titans, I do believe that that is one of the best stat lines that you can have, and this is a decent piece of armor to set you on the path for that. We have the helmet for a base of 64. Again, relatively evenly distributed stats. We got 10, 10, 11, 15, 16, 2. Another decent one. Nothing crazy, but good enough that if you don't have something better, it might be worth a pickup for your Titan. Ooh, there we go. That is a very, very good pair of legs. We have a base 66 pair of legs on the Titan with a 22 recov spike and a 23 strength spike. This is very much a good piece of armor. The other 3 pieces here are okay. This one's okay. These 2 are good. This is fantastic. This is definitely worth a grab unless you already have like a double 30 perfect drop in your strength and recov. This is going to be the closest that you're going to get to that without being extremely lucky. Please grab these pair of legs if you don't have anything better or similar on your Titans this week. Now, moving on to our Hunter this week, we have the substitutional alloy armor set. That first word threw me for a loop there for a second. For your arms, we have a base 66 with 16 mobility, 12 intellect and resilience, and 14 strength. A lot of these armor pieces have really nice stat distributions. Even if they're not the perfect spikes, they're very evenly slotted, if that makes sense. For your chest piece, ooh, that's very nice. We've got a base of 62, and then you have 14 and 14 for resilience and recovery, and then you've got 23 intellect. That is a very nice endgame. I could see somebody rocking that in a solo dungeon on an arc staff. For your helmet, we've got a base of 63, you've got 11 mobility, you have 18 resilience, you've got 20 discipline and 10 strength. And last but not least, for your legs, you have a base of 64, 14 mobility, 10 resilience, and then 16 in your intellect and in your strength. For the Quick Fang Hunter sword this week, we have Tireless Blade and we have On Guard, neither of which are very, very fantastic in my opinion. We do have Jagged Edge, which is okay, but I believe that there are better swords and better rules on them to get than that, so I would personally pass. For Warlocks this week, we also have the Substitutional Alloy Armor set. For our arms, we have a base of 65 with 19 mobility and 16 strength and 12 recov. Boy howdy, the Warlocks have completely ruined the streak of evenly distributed stats. For our chest piece, we have a base of 65, we have 16 recov and 19 discipline. We also have a little spike in mobility and a little in strength. Not a terrible roll. That the combination of recov and discipline goes very hard on Warlocks. For our helmets, we have a base of 64, we've got 24 in strength and 16 in resilience, with a couple 6s kicking around in there as well. And last but not least, we have a pair of 65 boots. We've got 15 in recov, 20 in strength, 12 in intellect, and 10 in mobility. Overall, I think Titans and Hunters win the armor game this week. Titans really do have a god roll pair of legs. Warlocks are kind of mid, not gonna lie. Lastly, for our sword, the Eternity's Edge, the Warlock sword this week, we have Tireless Blade, which is not fantastic in my opinion, but we do have Flash Counter on it. Now, Flash Counter is super strong, especially and specifically on Titans this season with Strongholds, and this Eternity's Edge will be a decent addition to your collection of swords with Flash Counter on it. Tireless Blade is okay, it's not fantastic, but it's not terrible either, and it's kind of like watered down Relentless Strikes. And lastly, we do have Jagged Edge on it, so overall it is probably I'd say a 4 out of 5 maybe. 3.5 to 4 out of 5. Definitely worth a pick if you don't have a better one, but there are better ones to be had. Now, with all of that being said, I would like to give you all a very big thank you for watching the video, coming out today, and hanging out with me. I do very much appreciate it, and I would ask that if you enjoyed the video, to be sure to leave a like, and if you are new around here, or if you just haven't done so yet, go ahead and subscribe. If you enjoy the content and want to see more like it and more other content in the future, a subscription would be super helpful, help me grow the channel, and help me to promote myself and get bigger and better at what I'm doing here. With all that being said, I love you all, and I will see you all next time I see you. Have a very good weekend, Guardians.